I just spit all over this. Oh my god. No. Okay, hello and welcome to another First Impressions for a very exciting palette, the Glamlite Chucky palette. Which funnily, it's always funny because it's almost at this point feels like Kleenex, you know? Because Chucky is like the character in the movie Child's Play, but nothing's ever like Glamlite X Child's Play. It's Glamlite X Chucky. But oh, there's a TV show, isn't there? I'm just realizing this. I am not hip with the times, you guys. So I think the new show is called Chucky, but I don't really know for sure. Anyway, the Glamlite and Chucky palette is what I'm going to do first impressions on. This is what it looks like. I mean, is this what dreams are made of or not? I love red and gray and black, and this is just absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I'm low-key becoming a Glamlite stan, you guys. I adore the Scooby-Doo palettes that I bought from them. And I also did buy the Mikayla 2 palette. I don't want to talk about it, okay? But I would have bought the blush that came out with this collection if it was one, a single blush, or two, a blush duo with 2 shades. I know they made a comment on Instagram being, I think they had issues with like the shade and like licensing, which feels like weird to me, but I guess, you know, licensing people obviously have a say in the makeup. That blush shade is not gonna work for us, Glamlite. Anyway, I don't know why I think that's like funny to me. Unfortunate for Glamlite, but that's why I didn't buy the blush. I don't know why that's why I didn't buy the blush. Let's do some live swatches and then I will compare. I'm gonna give a little comparison. I think I might do some swatches, but honestly, looking at the 2 palettes, there's not that many super similar shades, surprisingly, between the Waiting Room palette. Like, they're obviously gray and red and like burgundy palettes, but shade by shade, they're not this super similar. Oops. But I'm sure you could get like super similar looks if you already had the Waiting Room palette. But anyway, also look how cute the box is. It's gonna go right into the recycling. Oh, it's the Chucky Crazy in Love palette. I am very not with it in terms of facts, but when am I ever with it in terms of facts? I actually haven't watched, I mean, if you know me, you know I adore horror movies, so the fact that it was like a horror palette and a like beautiful color story was just like everything to me. But also, I don't think I've ever seen the second Chucky movie or the second Child's Play movie. I'm actually rewatching the original Child's Play right now as I was getting ready because I hadn't seen it in a while, and I honestly don't even know if I've seen it all the way through. But it's not really scary, at least not to me. It's honestly like so dated. It's basically camp at this point, but I love it. I think it's like really funny. Anyway, not the point of any of this. Focusing. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit for the swatches. What is this? Oh, this is from leaning against my desk. It will go away in time. Please try to ignore that. Okay, first shade is the shade Wanna Play. It's a metallic silver. Very nice. The next shade is the shade Good Guys. I feel like this is also like very on brand. Like they really did a good job, which is a mid-toned gray. It's Time to Play is another, this is a little bit of a deeper gray. Well, it looks deeper in the pan, but honestly, It's not that much deeper. It's kind of just like a different tone. It's a bit more blue toned. The next shade is the shade Chucky and Tiff Forever. Maybe that's what I'll watch tonight, which is a really nice, like kind of really deep taupe with silver sparkle. Scarier Than Ever is a matte rosy shade almost. And then Issue 666 is a black based burgundy metallic. I Like to Be Hugged. Oh yes, is a super deep purple. Oh, that's gorgeous, like burgundy purple. Ugh, I can see myself using that so much. Same with this next shade, the shade Play Pals. Yes, 1,000 times yes. This is a really deep burgundy. And then It's Showtime. It's another like black based burgundy metallic. This shade, Issue 666, is more purple. This is more of a burgundy. The shade Till Death Do Us Part is a lighter burgundy matte, but still quite deep. Your Pal Since 98 is a metallic black. He's Back is a matte black with like burgundy sparkle. So it's like a sequin shade, but basically it's a matte black. I can't imagine that the sparkle is going to show up much. And then Let's Be Friends is a cool toned purple. Charles Lee Ray is a beautiful red metallic. And then Free Hugs. Oh, is this also a black? Yeah, this is a matte black. So I don't love this, the fact that there's a sequin and a matte black, because honestly they're gonna do the same thing. So it's, to me, it's basically like having two matte blacks in a palette. So I don't love that. I feel like we could have done like a lighter red shimmer. Could have been nice, like a bright red shimmer. Instead of one of these shades. But otherwise, that's pretty much my only complaint in terms of color story. Any deep mattes, number one, is a win for me. And in these tones, I'm like, I can never get enough of them. I adore it. So I'm super, super excited. I really, really loved the color story. I really like how on theme it is. If you are like a fan of Child's Play or a fan of like Chucky, it's very on brand. So all around, snaps all around. Honestly, let's just do some quick comparison swatches just while we're here. In terms of black and kind of, or like gray and red palettes, I also have the ColourPop Darth Vader palette, which is a similar vibe. Not a ton of similar shades, but I guess we could compare it in case you also have it and you want to know how similar the shades are. I'm just going to go based off of the Melt palette first, because obviously this has less shades. So comparing, we'll swatch the two matte reds. So this is the shade Obituary and No Exit. Not great swatches. So these are, holy shit, okay. These don't swatch the best. They're beautiful shadows in the eyes, but regardless. So let's see. I'm gonna swatch the three like matte kind of red shades from the Chucky palette. So this is the shade I Like to Be Hugged, which is the dark purple. Play Pals is the dark burgundy, and Till Death Do Us Part is the like red burgundy matte. So you can see these two shades are much deeper than the two reds. This is similar maybe to the shade Obituary. I don't know, but none are super similar. These are obviously deeper, and this is probably very similar on the eyes to the two reds in the Melt palette. And then the only similar shade in terms of mattes from the ColourPop palette is the shade Sith Lord, but I think it's going to be lighter. It is a little bit similar to Play Pals and a kind of similar to Till Death Do Us Part, but maybe a little bit deeper and a little bit more purple. Okay, and then holy shit, Lord, get it together. And then we'll do the two grays. So these are the two gray mattes from the Melt palette. This is the shade Tombstone and the shade Shrunken Head. And then we have Good Guys and It's Time to Play. So this is Good Guys, and then this is It's Time to Play. So I feel like It's Time to Play is pretty similar to either of these two grays from the Melt palette, and then Good Guys is lighter for sure. Both of these Melt grays show up pretty deep on the eyes. But I would say Shrunken Head and It's Time to Play are pretty similar to each other. And then there's one gray in the ColourPop palette, the shade The Empire. So I'm going to do this one as well. Again, similar-ish. This is almost like a little bit more cool toned than It's Time to Play, which almost has a little bit more purple to it. But ultimately, they're probably going to look very similar on the eyes. That's pretty much it for matte comparisons between the Melt palette. I'm going to swatch, and then you know what, let's do Battle Station from the ColourPop palette as well. But this is a little bit more taupey now that I'm looking at it. I think, and not the best swatch, but you get it. And then this is Imperial Forces, but this is quite light as well. And again, a little bit more taupey, a little bit more purple. Lighter and more purple. In terms of shimmers, and so I think this pretty much is it for matte comparisons between the three palettes. So, I mean, you have all of these shades essentially, like you have some variation of the shades. If you have any of these three palettes, you know, you have like deep matte reds that are like burgundy purpley toned, you have mid-tone grays, and you have, and that's pretty much it. You have burgundy red mattes and some variation of gray and blacks. I'm not going to swatch the blacks because they're blacks. You know? There's also the shade Dark Side in the ColourPop palette, which is similar to the shade He's Back from the Chucky palette, the Glamlite palette, insofar as they're mattes with like red sparkle, like sequin shadows. And then there's obviously a matte black in the Melt palette and a matte black in the Glamlite palette as well. In terms of shimmers, there's not really a ton of similar shades. In terms of shimmers, I would say between the Melt palette, truly the only one that feels super similar to me, I'm just going to swatch it on my hand. This is the shade Dante's Inferno. And then the shade Charles Lee Ray reminds me of it. So these are quite similar. The only real difference I would say is that Dante's Inferno is almost more of an orangey red, and then Charles Lee Ray is kind of more on the like burgundy red. It doesn't have as much orange to it. There's only this one bright red matte in the ColourPop palette, and then the shade Sod Girl is more of a like pinky shade almost, and then Lydia is a bright red as well. And there isn't really a comparison. The more purpley tones of shimmers in the Glamlite palette aren't quite as pink. They're more of like a deeper purple, deeper burgundy kind of deal. And then, let's see, there is the shade Chucky and Tiff Forever that I'm going to compare to Gone Galactic. So this is Gone Galactic from the ColourPop palette, and this is Chucky. Oh yeah, I thought they might be similar, but you can see they're not really that similar at all. And I would say that is pretty much it. I'm gonna swatch the shade Stormtrooper from the ColourPop palette right here against the Glamlite palette. It's more of like a champagne kind of deal. The shade Wanna Play, which is this first silver, is more of a true silver. And then, I mean, Juno, I guess you could compare from the Melt palette, but it's a different formula. It's more more kind of like chunky and sparkly compared to the Glamlite one, and it's not really as silver. Again, it's more of like a champagne-y silver. It's like a champagne with silver sparkle. So ultimately, I think you can get very similar looks if you have the Darth Vader palette from ColourPop or the Waiting Room palette from Melt. You wouldn't quote unquote need this Glamlite palette, but you and I both didn't need either of these ColourPop palettes or the Melt palettes either, you know? So those are the comparisons out of the way. I will roll some close-up swatches and some eye swatches now, and then we can do a first impressions look, which I am so excited about. Okay, hello. Coming at you from a very hungover state, but eye swatches wait for no one, you guys. So here we are, eye swatching the Crazy in Love palette. So, no shade descriptions on Glamlite's website, so it's gonna be all up to me to describe them. And if you've never watched a eye swatch video from me before, I prime my eyes between every swatch with the NARS Smudge Proof eyeshadow base. It's not particularly tacky, doesn't have any pigment, but I just really like the way shadows go on top of it. First shade in the palette is a shimmer, the silver shimmer called Wanna Play. For shimmers, I also will start with them dry, and then I will wet my brush, and then I will use my finger to intensify it. So, starting with this silver. Wetting my brush. And with my finger. Honestly, this is just a really beautiful, sparkly, but not like chunky or overly like thick shimmer silver. Just really, really, really nice. And it has like lots of different colored sparkle in it as well, which is really fun. The next shade is a matte, the shade Good Guys. This is a gray. It's just kind of like a light gray. Really, really beautiful. No complaints at all. A nice gray shadow. Okay, next shade is the shade It's Time to Play, which is a darker gray. A very nice dark gray. I will say it felt a little bit sheerer, or the shade feels like a touch sheerer, but very easy to build up. It's like, you know, just kind of a very, very slight difference, but honestly, nothing super, super crazy. I don't know whether people yelling outside my house. It's 2 p.m. on a Saturday, so anyway. The next shade is the shade Chucky and Tiff Forever, which is a dark, kind of like taupe. Taupe, yeah, a dark taupe. I would say that's pretty accurate. Starting with this dry. Going in with a wet brush and my finger. This is a beautiful, yeah, like really dark, like a grayish taupe. On the eyes, it looks honestly like kind of a gunmetal shade with just a ton of really beautiful like silver sparkle. Okay, next up we have the shade Scarier Than Ever, which is a rosy brown. That's gorgeous. I feel like there's something going on here, but honestly I think that's just my eye, not the shadow, but that's such a pretty color. And I mean, you saw the way it went on, so nice. Then we have a shimmer, the shade Issue 666, which is a like dark purple. Starting with the shade Dry. With a wet brush, and my finger. Ooh. Finger makes it much more foiled. So yeah, like a black based purple. It's really, really pretty. Super deep, but really nice. Okay, next up we have a matte. This is the shade I Like to Be Hugged, which is a really, really deep purple. This might be one of my new favorite eyeshadows in my entire collection. That is so nice. And then the next shade is another matte, the shade Play Pals, which is a like really deep burgundy. You guys, these two shades are like my wet dream. They're so nice. Ugh, I love them. Okay, next shade, the shade It's Showtime, is a dark burgundy metallic shade. Starting with this Dry. With a wet brush. And my finger. Okay, yeah, it's a really almost purpley burgundy, like really, really deep, obviously. And then the next shade is the shade Till Death Do Us Part, which is a matte. It's a matte red. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Love it. Okay, last row. The next shade is Your Pal Since 98, which is a metallic black. with a wet brush. And with my finger. Really nice. No complaints for me. And then we have the shade He's Back, which is a matte black with like red sparkle. It's basically like a sequin shadow, a matte with shimmer in it, sparkles in it. To be honest, I can barely see the shimmers in this shade. Maybe if you like go in with your finger and take this shade and like tap it on top, then like, okay, then some of the shimmer shine through, but even so, it's nothing noticeable. So essentially there are two matte black eyeshadows in here, which is not ideal. Not for me, at least. And that's coming from me, the person who's like loves black eyeshadow. Anyway. The next shade is a matte, the shade Let's Be Friends. This is like a purpley, kind of gray purple shade. This is actually a super pretty shade. It went on amazingly, and it's like a gray, deep gray purple. So nice. And then we have a shimmer. This is the shade Charles Lee Ray, a red metallic. I think it has like a black base to it. Going in with a wet brush. And my finger. So yeah, this is like a black based red metallic. Not really sparkly at all, just really smooth. It's really nice though. And then the last shade in the palette is the shade, Free Hugs, which is a matte black. That's a really nice matte. The thing is, like, I think I like this matte black better than the shade He's Back with the sparkle. I think that this is a like more pigmented. That other one felt like it was slightly sheerer. Who knows if that's because of the sparkles or not, but anyway, at least it's a nice matte black. And thus we conclude the eye swatching portion. Okay, so my vision is to do a red crease with, I think, this black metallic all over the lid. That is my vision, at least. And I wanted to do like kind of a rounded shape. So that's what we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna start with the shade Good Guys. I have used Glamlite's formula before. I've used these Scooby-Doo palettes, but otherwise, this is my second palette from Glamlite. And honestly, I was very happy with the performance of both the mattes and the shimmers in those other palettes, in the Scooby-Doo palettes. And so I'm excited to use this one. I'm just going to run this through my crease, really buffing it out, and again, a rounded shape. There's definitely not a ton of like light shades in this palette, but I do not mind that whatsoever. And I've primed my eyes with the NARS Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base if you're curious, and I have not set my lids. Okie dokie, next up I'm going to take the shade Till Death Do Us Part. And I'm just going to take this through my crease. I'm not going to put it in my outer corner or anything because I'm just going to put a black metallic all over the lid, so not really needed. Yeah, the depth in this palette is like just unparalleled. Honestly, I can say that I'll probably reach for this over my Melt palette now, which I never thought that I would get reds, like deeper reds that I reach for, because more often than the Waiting Room palette, because it's like my go-to for dark reds. This and the Muerte palette from Melt are like just my instant reaches for deep reds. So, and then I think I'm just gonna go all for it and take the shade I Like to Be Hugged. This really, actually no, I take it back. I'm gonna take Play Pals because I think it's gonna go with the tones better. But anyway, I will say though, after rewatching Child's Play, don't love the only black character, black man as like a witchcraft Satanist question mark. Doesn't quite sit well in 2023. I'll just say that. That is something that did not hold up over time. Okay, I may have blended that up too far, but it's fine. Maybe I'll take a little bit more of Till Death Do Us Part, lightly. Even though these are quite deep, I think they're shearing out and blending really nicely. And then, you know what, why not? Let's take the shade He's Back, this sequin shade, because I'm putting black all over my lid just to help it blend. I'm just going to put this right in like the lowest part of my crease. And then I'm going to wipe off this brush and take the tiniest touch of Play Pals and blend that black out. And now I'm going to take Your Pal Since '98, the metallic black. All in all, this is actually a pretty simple look. And then I'm going to take some NYX glitter primer first and just put this all over my lid. And then take Your Pal Since '98 on my lid. I really hope that this kid in the movie goes to therapy, because this shit would fuck you up. As a 6-year-old, holy shit. But this is a really nice metallic black. I really like how when you put it down, it's like super sparkly. It's super nice. Okay, I brought this win up way too high. Then I'm going to take my little brush with no additional shadow or anything and just lightly blend the edges of this black metallic out. I don't want to blend it up too high, but I just want, you know, the edges to be nice and soft. And these mattes are blending truly beautifully. Especially considering they are quite deep shades and I've been blending a lot. And my base was, or my eyeshadow was a little bit, not my eyeshadow, my eyelids were a little bit tacky because I used a like dewy setting spray. So overall, great experience thus far. I'm going to take a little fluffy brush with the shade Good Guys, so that gray initially on it, and blend over the edges of my crease. And then take Your Pal Since '98, the black metallic, on my finger and intensify this on my lid. Feels like very much like a creamy shadow, which is I think, typical of Glamlite. And then I'm going to take the shade, oops, Wanna Play, the silver, and tap this in the center of my lid. Love that. Just to give it a little bit more dimension. And then I'm going to take that same shade and put that on my brow bone. It's a little bit silvery, but I think it works for this look. Okay, I just quickly hopped off camera, did highlight and blush. For highlight, I used the Glamlite and Mikayla highlight. And for blush, I used a very small amount of the red blush from the Colored Raine blush and highlight duo in Love Affair. This is just an older version, but anyway. Okay, do I have any fallout? No. Okay. For my lower lash line, I'm going to take a black eyeliner. This is just one from e.l.f. It's not the best, but it is okay. And I'm going to just put this in my waterline and smudge it also underneath my eyes. Preferably you would do this with something that's a little bit more blendable, but anyway. And now I'm going to take the shade He's Back, the basically sequin black shade, and just smudge this out with this shade. I'm going to take the shade Play Pals, just a little bit. Honestly, I'm basically going to layer this over top of the black shadow. I don't want to put this like too far under my eyes. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the shade Till Death Do Us Part and blend this underneath my eyes. Or a bright red matte could have been fun in this palette as well, instead of a sequin black and a matte black. I would say I digress, but I don't know if I actually will digress about this issue. I might actually talk about it a lot. And then taking Good Guys, the gray, and lightly blending this all out. And just to tie everything together, I'm going to take the shade Your Pal Since 98, the metallic black I used all over my lid. I'm going to spray that and put that all the way underneath my eyes. And then I'm going to take that same Wanna Play shade, spray it as well so it sticks, and then put that on my inner corners. Okay, and this is where I'm pretty much going to leave it. I'm going to just finish up my face, do my hair, and show you the finished look and give you my first impressions thought. I am obsessed with this look. This legitimately makes me want to wear a black smoky eye every day of my life. I love it so much. Although I was expecting to love this palette, I would have been surprised if I did not love it. It's beautiful. I definitely will have a 3 looks 1 palette coming with this in the future. Alongside all of the other 3 looks 1 palette videos that I need to film. But I mean, the shades that I used worked beautifully. I think the mattes blended really, really nicely. I guess I only used 2 shimmers, but they were very beautiful. This sparkly black is so nice. I feel like it really, when you get it on the lids, maybe it's pairing it with a glitter glue, I'm not entirely sure yet, but it shows the like silver sparkle off a lot more than when you even just swatch it. So it's so beautiful, and I love it. I love this look so much. I love the theming of this palette. It was really a Chucky themed experience as I watched Child's Play while I filmed this video. It was quite fun. I've not told you yet what's on my lips. I'm wearing the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Endless Cacao and the Lippy Pencil from ColourPop in Ashton. And then the Essence Just Clear Gloss. And I Love it. I feel like I need to just go outside, show the world my makeup. And I need to buy something to eat because I have literally no food in my house. Anyway, this is just my journey to slowly becoming a Glamlite stan, and I cannot wait to use this palette more, and I have literally no regrets that I bought this. I feel like Glamlite is it's like kind of a sweet spot in terms of price. Obviously, I mean, more affordable is always going to be preferable, but it's not crazy expensive. It's kind of like mid-range, because indie can get quite expensive, like it can get really expensive. But I feel like they just have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful formulas. So I'm excited to see what they have coming out, and I feel like I'm really excited for this palette specifically because I feel like a lot of times Glamlite does like very mid-tone palettes, and I'm kind of always searching for the depth, so the fact that they're bringing out deeper mattes is absolutely chef's kiss. I'm going to leave you now. Let me know what you think of Glamlite, what you think of this palette, what you think of this look. And I would love to see you in my next video. Bye, guys.